Hello friends and welcome back to the channel. You know what time it is. Update time once again in the Battle Realm, and I am back with everything that you need to know about the December 2025 update in MCOC, the last patch notes video for 2025. Let's jump right in because there is a ton to cover today. So we're going to start off with the brand new champion for December, which is Imperiosa. Imperiosa is the final idol champion, the last of the four. We got to play with Imperiosa at Summoners Fest last month, designed by Kabam Mimic, who also designed Viv Vision, a champion that you may know that I enjoy very much. I found Imperiosa very easy to kind of pick up and learn. She doesn't have a very complicated rotation. Her mechanics, her kit, very easy to understand. So I really enjoyed playing her. She looks very cool. One of the coolest special threes in the game as well. She starts with 2 bars of power, but like she special locks herself. That's kind of a cool mechanic. The idea in her rotation is you want to start with a special 3. So by starting with 2 bars of power, you're within like a combo or a combo and a half or so of getting your special 3 off. And on defense, she starts special locked. So you're not going to just, give her a bunch of power at the start of a fight and immediately have to tank a special 3. Now that being said, I do think we're going to have to worry about like Wong traps going forward in Alliance War, where if you have Wong placed on a node before her, you're going to have to use like a different champion between the two of them. Otherwise, the Wong pre-fighter or crossfighter or whatever will give her extra power. So you got to watch out for that. But yeah, I'm not really quite sure where she's kind of going to fit in the game at the moment. She's got access to a big Fury buff. She has access to Pierce. She has like a trap mechanic on her special 1 or special 2, I forget which. Yeah, so we'll kind of have to see where she lands. She looks very cool and she seems fun to play, so definitely looking forward to getting her. Alright, number 2, the champion updates for the month of December. There are 2 of them. Neither of these should be much of a surprise to you. First one is Punisher. Punisher was kind of accidentally revealed early during Summoners Fest. I think that they had intended him to be a surprise reveal during the live stream, but they had accidentally put his updated kit onto the dev devices that people were using for Coliseum and stuff like that. And at that point, the cat was kind of out of the bag, so they just said, go ahead and you can, release content about his buff. So I actually did a video, myself and Akbar, on the channel covering the kit in a pretty good amount of detail. I'll probably put a link to that video up in the top right corner here. If you haven't seen it and you want to see what Punisher is all about, you can go ahead and click that and check it out. Like it says here, he has a lot of indestructible. I think he gets indestructible at various points throughout the fight, like various health thresholds. And then you want to build up physical resistance passes with him, which I think he had in his original kit here. And then his special attacks, you really want to throw them into block. So you throw the special 2 into block, and then if you do that, you automatically get like a free bar of power, and then you dash in while you're unstoppable, and you fire the SP1 into their block. And that's kind of where he gets his damage off. So it looks very cool. Remains to be seen, how available he's going to be. I expect that since he's kind of the chase champ for Banquet, he is really going to be very uncommon, similar to how 7-star Jessica Jones was last year. You really still don't see like many 7-star Jessica Jones out in the wild, and I think Punisher will kind of be the same way. Also unclear at the moment is how he will be handled at lower rarities. Right now, Punisher, one of the most difficult champions to get in the game. He's only available in those arena crystals, and the drop rate for the 6-star in the superior arena crystals, whatever they're called, is incredibly low. I still do not have a 6-star Punisher, and the number of chances that I get at him per year is like less than 100. So we'll see what they kind of do with that. If they plan on making the 7-star version of Punisher available in a different way, I really hope that they're not just going to add like another arena crystal, because then nobody will get him ever. So more to come on that at some point, I hope. The second buff for December is X-23. Recall that we voted on X-23 for International Women's Day back in March, and her buff is finally ready 9 months later. We got a preview of X-23's kit a few days ago, maybe a week ago. She looks very cool. She has a very powerful evade counter, so she's going to be good for Bullseye, other skill evade champs. I believe the evade counter is Pursuit as well, so not dependent on a buff or a debuff as well. So she builds up these frenzy charges, as it kind of implies here. And then at some point in the fight, you can actually consume all of these frenzy charges, and like it roots the defender in place, and it speeds up her animation by like 300%, and you just spam the light attack, and she just does like 1,000 light attacks like really quickly. It's kind of hard to describe. I really hope that they have shown this or are showing this on the live stream, which should be over at the time this video goes live. So it is very cool to see. And I really hope they show it off. Yeah, so she looks very cool. A lot of damage, good evade counter. I definitely think Kabam Honeydew cooked pretty hard on this, and I'm very excited to get myself a 7-star X-23 whenever she comes out. All right, number 3, the Alliance Coliseum is launching next week, actually. Man, that's really snuck up on me. So this is a brand new mode. It was revealed during Summoners Fest last month. Everybody who was there got to test it out if they wanted. And this is, again, going to replace a week of AQ next week. So you won't have to do AQ next week. You'll be doing this new Alliance Coliseum. So the basic idea here is that you have an unkillable defender. It's probably going to be Adam Warlock. He was the defender on the test devices. So I'm kind of assuming here that he is going to be the first Alliance Coliseum defender as well. So you have an unkillable Adam Warlock, and the goal here is to kind of chew through as many different health pools as possible. And, kind of as you get through health pools, the fight gets a little bit more difficult. You have unlimited retries, so you can quit out and go back in as many times as you want. Not really clear right now kind of what the entry cost for the mode is going to be. But once you're in the mode, you can, try as many times as you want. The idea here is to build up, again, chew through as many health pools as possible. The more you get, and the more score you're going to get, and then everybody in the Alliance kind of tallies their score together, and that's your score for the mode for the week. And I'm assuming ranked rewards will be distributed based on where everybody lands here. So it was very fun. One thing I really liked about this mode, and there's a solo version of this mode coming at some point next year, early next year. But one thing I'm really looking forward to here is that since there are no nodes on the defender, it's just like a big Adam Warlock. You're kind of being encouraged to just use any champion that you want. And there are a lot of champions that, I don't get to use very often because they're not quite good for the modes that I like to play. Or there are, a lot of like ramp up champs and champs that are more suited for long and Everest type fights. I don't really get to use those every day. So I'm really kind of looking forward to trying out like the whole of my roster, right? And find some champion that works really well for this mode. And for these defenders. So very much looking forward to Alliance Coliseum, and again, that should be launching next week. Number 4, unless you've been living under a rock in MCOC land for the past couple of weeks, you're probably aware that the Banquet event starts just 2 weeks from today on December 19th and goes until January 2nd. Banquet event is the biggest event in MCOC every year. Really looking forward to this one. There's going to be a brand new anniversary trailer, and the team has kind of teased it to us in the CCP server, saying that it is really cool this year. The ones that they've released the past several years have been fantastic, so I'm really looking forward to this one as well. The Accolades event is returning here, so this is the one where you gift titles to your friends and alliance mates, and if you get enough of them gifted to you of the same kind, then you get an actual title and or a profile picture in game that matches that. So that's just fun to do. There's these New Year's Ring It In arenas. This is probably going to be like the 2-star arena that they do. That just has you do a bunch of easy arena fights and you get some like really nice shards as rewards. Glorious Guardians are somehow returning. That's interesting. I don't really know how they're going to fit in this year's Banquet event. And then, of course, the highlight of the Banquet event is going to be the first opportunity to acquire new 7-star champions, Absorberman, Valkyrie, Scorpion, Kingpin, Punisher, and Nimrod. So if you recall, Absorberman and Kingpin are going to be available as part of the Realm event. And then Valkyrie and Scorpion and Nimrod and who else did they announce? Jane Foster is also going to be in the Founders Keepers box. So there are 2 champions missing from this list. You might notice there is a Mutant Champ and a Cosmic Champ missing. Still don't know as of time of this recording who those champions are. I'm assuming again that they will have already revealed them on the live stream when this video goes live. Just a quick reminder here, I've kind of predicted that X-23 was going to be the mutant representative. But now I'm kind of second guessing myself here because I don't think that she would be listed up here as a buff. Feel like she's going to have like a normal champion release, and that the mutant is going to be somebody else. And I'm kind of also backtracking on my initial prediction of the champion being the Cosmic Rep, because they revealed Scorpion early, and I feel like if Scorpion was a champion that they did not reveal last, then the Cosmic Champion is going to be somebody whose hype level even exceeds him. So I really think, I'm convinced at this point that the Cosmic is either going to be CGR or Hulkling. So, and that would leave the Mutant to be somebody who's getting a rework. So if it's X-23, that's awesome. If not, there's a couple of the mutants there who are in dire need of a rework. So we'll kind of see where that goes. But yeah, all these champions I'm very excited for. I have rank up materials saved for most of them. Really looking forward to getting these. All right, number 5, there is an enormous list of changes coming to the nodes in the monthly event quest starting this month. So if you recall, each quest in the monthly EQ has a set of nodes designed to empower one of these 6 classes. There are 6 quests, 6 classes, and then you just bring champions of that class into that specific quest, take advantage of the nodes, and allows you to ramp up your damage very quickly. Now, one of my biggest and most persistent criticisms of monthly EQ of these nodes is that atypical champions in each class were kind of not useful at all for this mode, and that really put pressure on players with smaller rosters to do these fights in EQ with champions that just aren't ranked up or like really bad options. So this should be a lot easier going forward. I'm not going to read through all of these because there really is a lot of changes here. But in general, the nodes should be easy to read. I don't really know what this means. The nodes are kind of easy to read, I guess, already. The Furies from the node are going to look a little different, so they are distinct from Furies that champions have. And then I like this change as well. So the Furies that you get from these nodes will always cap at 5. Some of the class nodes capped at 10 and some of capped at 5. I always thought it was confusing. I couldn't ever remember which one was which. So now they're always going to be at 5 going forward here. For the mutant nodes, they increased the bleed resistance up to 90%. This is very, very important because if you're using an underranked mutant in like the Elder EQ, even the previous bleed resistance was just not enough, and you would just straight up die to bleeds here. In addition, the poison resistance has also been beefed up to 90%, and attackers will now be immune to the poison's regeneration modifier. So normally, poison reduces your regen by, I think, 40% or something like that. That will not be the case going forward in EQ. Daunted will now increase the chance that you get a regeneration, so attackers like Cassandra Nova or Onslaught or whoever will now have chances to get regen, and thus will be good for the mutant nodes. Heal block from the tech node will now inflict when any dot is inflicted on the defender. This is really, really good. I think previously it was just shocks, but now you have techs with like ruptures like Lady Deathstrike. You have Zola, who has the disintegration, so they should now be able to take advantage of the tech node going forward. Ironheart enjoys Rejoice. Don't mind if I do. So yeah, a lot of really positive changes, I think, for these. This should make EQ a lot easier and should make more of your champions in your roster useful for this, especially in that Elder EQ, where you have to kind of do it like Crucible style. And having more champions viable for EQ, which is a quest that should be a bit more accessible, I think, than it is right now. But yeah, this looks like all in all like a really big positive change, and I'm looking forward to kind of getting in there this month on EQ with some different and new champions. All right, number 6, all of the brand new 7 stars that are coming out as part of the Banquet event went through an extra QA pass as though they were being released as new champions here. So they've kind of done this in the past several months already. I think the intent here is to, again, like they're saying here, preserve function. But some of the champions, as it also says here, are quite old. So I think it's just kind of like modernizing the code behind, or the UI, or the HUD, or both. Example of this, they changed Valkyrie last month or the month before, where they changed her unstoppable counter and her SIG to actually be like a grit passive. Or they changed Mojo to actually give him the atrophy on his buff duration reduction. So things like that, where we have standard effects for things now. Older champions are kind of being updated to match those effects. The function of the champion isn't changing, but kind of what it looks like is changing. I have read through all of these. Most of these are just standard bug fixes. None of them are particularly like game breaking or interesting. And again, it says up here, the performance of these champions should be the same or better with all these fixes. There are a few that I want to cover here, and one in particular I think is very important. So we'll skip Kingpin. Nothing really going on with him. Let's move down to Nimrod here. So here we go. Fixed an issue with the Special 1 Energize being incorrectly based on current combat power rate rather than the base of 100%. So because this meant he was measuring up to the 120% that a rank 5 6-star or a 7-star gets, we adjusted the potency of the Energize up from 45 to 54% to compensate. So what this means is that the base combat power rate of a 7-star champion is actually like 120%, but they want combat power rate changes in an Energize to be based off of the base rate of 100%. So essentially what this means is that they increase the potency of Nimrod's Energize to compensate for the change for the Energize buff being related to 100 instead of 120. So again, going back up to what it says at the top here, preserving function, the performance of the champion should be same or better with these fixes. I haven't done the actual math on how this is going to work, but that's a pretty hefty change going from 45 to 54%. So I would assume, again, you're not going to notice much of a difference, if at all, with Nimrod's Energize. All right, the next one I want to cover is with Scorpion, and this is like the biggest one that stood out to me among all these fixes here. So where is it here? Here we go. Reworked his defensive combo mechanic so that it only asks you to gain 20 combo during the 50 seconds, and this is the big thing, does not care if the combo is lost. If you have ever fought a Scorpion on defense and gotten hit, you know exactly how painful he is when you lose your combo, because previously if you would lose your combo while trying to work up to the 20 combo necessary to turn off his Scorpion sense, he would just add an additional 20 combo to the amount required, and then you were like permanently behind, and you would never turn off Scorpion sense. And it's been like that since he was released in the game. It is one of the most irritating defensive mechanics in the game. I hate Scorpion sense so much. Why did Scorpion need an evade? That's a conversation for a different day. But anyways, so it should be easier for most champions going forward to turn off Scorpion sense just by doing the necessary 20 combo. You need to do 20 hits at any point during 15 seconds. And again, if you lose your combo, you're not going to be reset, and it's not going to be made more difficult. For me, I know this. You can think of this as a defensive nerf. I have always felt that Scorpion sense, the combo stuff in Scorpion sense, was legitimately unfair when you lose your combo. So I'm really glad to see that this is being fixed. Let me know in the comments below what you kind of think about this. I can definitely see some people being annoyed about this because he is quite annoying on defense without an evade counter. But again, on the other hand, you're still being asked to skillfully gain combo during a fixed period, so it's not like guaranteed that you're going to be turning it off. But yeah, let me know what you think about this. I'm pleased with this change. I'm curious if you are happy with it as well. Or if you, and then the last one I want to cover also with Scorpion. This is just kind of one that I thought was funny. Fixed an issue in which Scorpion would damage himself if he tried to siphon healing from opponents with increased or locked regen rates. I have never seen this happen, and I didn't even know it was a thing until I read through these patch notes, but I gotta imagine this is like really funny. Like you fire off the special 2, and then all of a sudden you're just like killing yourself. You're just like, get wrecked, sucker, and then you're just like, oh no, wait, no. Yeah. I don't know. I've never seen this work. If you have a clip or a link to somewhere where this is happening, I would love to see it because it's just super funny. Yeah, nothing else really important for Absorbman or Valkyrie. If you want to look through these changes, you can pause the video, of course, or I'm sure they'll be posted on the official site with the rest of the patch notes. Last but certainly not least is this month's extensive list of bug fixes and improvements. So as was the case with the Banquet champ fixes, if you want to read through all of these yourself, feel free to pause the video as I scroll through them, or you can head over to the official website where they should be posted along with the patch notes. If they're not posted now, they will be later today. So we're all going to cover a few of these. First one I want to talk about is, where is it here? Fixed an issue with the end of the fight interrupting champion animations. Apologize profusely for getting in the way of so many sweet backflips. So this started happening, I think, last month in the November update, where when you would end the fight, typically when you end the fight, your attacker's animation is allowed to complete. You can actually end up dealing damage to the defender after they're already KO'd, which I always thought was funny. I enjoyed kind of seeing how much damage I could deal to a defender after they were already knocked out. And then at some point, again, I think in the November patch, it was changed accidentally so that when the defender was KO'd, the attacker's animation just kind of stopped short. Didn't really affect the fight in any way because the fight was over. And there was like somebody on Reddit who like made a thread like, why aren't more people complaining about this? Like, my dude, it doesn't really matter. It was a bit odd to see, but I'm glad that they're fixing this because I do like kind of seeing how much damage I can deal after the defender's already knocked out. So that will be fixed with the December patch. The next one here is with Shang-Chi. Fixed an issue with Shang-Chi's kit that allowed him to execute Wushu strikes on each hit of his special one, which only matters when it's applied to the champion in solo raids and grants him 20 cleanses if you block the whole thing. So I ran into this a lot this past month in solo raids because one of the science champs that I use the most often is Anti-Venom. And with Anti-Venom, you want to be blocking special attacks because it increases your combat power rate, allows you to get to your specials more quickly. But I was finding that, again, like it says here, if you block the special one, it was just giving him like infinite cleanses. And I couldn't comprehend why this was happening because it was only happening in solo raids and not against Shang-Chi like anywhere else in the game. So yeah, so that's being fixed. It, again, not really a huge issue because you can always use somebody else in solo raids, but I'm glad that that's being fixed as well. All right, last one I want to cover is this one here. Fixed an issue with Onslaught not inflicting a Daunted when auto-blocked by Scream. This has been a thing, I'm pretty sure, since Scream was added to the game last year. Not really sure how well known it was. Or how many times people are taking Onslaught with Scream, but whenever you well-timed block or parry Onslaught, you get a Daunted on yourself, which is annoying because it turns off your willpower mastery. When Scream was auto-blocking Onslaught, which she does quite frequently, that auto-block was not causing a Daunted, and her auto-block does count as a well-timed block and will trigger parry, so it really should have been inflicting a Daunted effect. So that's being fixed. I personally haven't been using Scream for Onslaught in a minute. I can't remember ever using her for an Onslaught, but if you are using her for an Onslaught, you should be aware that using her auto block will now turn off your willpower mastery and potentially cause you more damage from those neuros during his special attacks. The last thing I kind of want to mention about these bug fixes is that I'm always kind of on the lookout for changes to champions that don't yet exist as 7 stars, because sometimes this can be an indicator that they are being prepped for release as a 7-star and might be on the docket for sometime in 2026. And to that end, there are 2 champions mentioned in these bug fixes that don't yet exist as 7 stars, and I just want to call them out. This is not like a guarantee or anything, but just I just kind of triggers my sim sense, I guess. First one here, Bargain with Dormammu. Only declares himself immune to effects when he actually is. So Dormammu doesn't yet exist as a 7-star. Dormammu, probably needs a bit of a rework. He has decent power control, but the rest of his kit is not very, very good. And the last one here, there are 2 bug fixes to Kitty Pryde, where she wasn't losing prowess when affected with cowardice, and fixed various issues with how she interacts with guaranteed crits. So Kitty Pryde probably does not need any changes to come out as a 7-star. She's pretty good, and I think they have said that if rebalancing existed when she was released into the game, she would have been rebalanced. And fortunately for all Kitty Pryde players, she's not going to be changed. So yeah, just something to look out for. Dormammu, Kitty Pryde, maybe on the docket for a 7-star release sometime next year. It could be March, it could be next December, who knows. But typically they do bug fixes like this. They will spread them out as not to make it so obvious. But we'll see if either or both of these champions are released next year. Folks, that's going to do it for another edition of the Patch Notes video. Let me know in the comments below what you are most excited to see come to the game in the month of December. Is it the 4th and final idol, Imperiosa? Are you looking forward to the buffs to Punisher or X-23? Are you looking forward to skipping AQ next week and instead trying out the brand new Alliance Coliseum mode? Or are you looking forward to opening hundreds of those superior Banquet crystals and earning some sweet rewards during the Banquet event in a couple of weeks? One thing that isn't listed here, by the way, speaking of the Banquet and the holiday celebration, is the holiday gift, which Command will typically send out on Christmas. So like December 24th, 25th, sometime around there, everybody will get an in-game message with a holiday gift from Kabam, and this will be related to your progression level. So if you are close to the next progression level, really important that you try and get there as quickly as possible. If you're close to Valiant, which is the current highest level, you really want to make sure that you get there before that gift goes out, because typically the gifts are very good every year, and you want to make sure that you don't miss out on that. So yeah, looking forward to all this stuff this month, I should say. Looks like a lot of fun. Folks, thank you very much for sticking with me through these patch notes through all of 2025. Hit that like button for me to help me grow the channel. If you aren't subscribed to the channel, I would ask that you please take a quick moment and do so. And as always, thank you very much for watching. See you again next time.